Well, we are back here in the garage today. Yesterday, I pulled apart the left-hand side of the vehicle. Today, I'm going to do the right-hand side of the vehicle. I'm going to put it on a time lapse just to give you an idea of what it actually takes to replace the ball joints. Hopefully, also, I've had a trial run, so this should be much easier than the first time that we did it. Just going to pop this tire off, take the lower control arm out, which requires 2 bolts, 3 bolts, 4 bolts. So pretty quick, pretty painless. We'll put it on the time lapse, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. Have a great day. That was wildly easier than the last time that we did that. I apologize for the bad lighting. I actually broke the light that I had. But right now, this is kind of what we got. So next steps are I'm gonna pull this pin loose here. I'm gonna pull this one loose here. And then once I'm done with those, well, before I even do that, here is our guilty suspect. I mean, you can see. So when we go over a bump in the road, you can hear it go ka-chunk, ka-chunk. And that needs to be completely removed. I mean, that thing is absolutely worthless. Much better video here where you can see a ball joint's not supposed to go in and out, up and down. So this one does. It's supposed to swivel like this. But I gotta take out the bolts here on either side. There's bolts on either side, and then what I'm gonna do is come in with an air hammer, just hit this on top. I thought that would be ridiculous, that hitting that with an air chisel would just pop that out. But I've got, here it is, right here, this little air chisel. The only thing that I regret is that I don't have like a 50-gallon air compressor that can keep up with this thing, because this is awesome. And I thought that I would probably just hit it with, you know, for example, this ball peen hammer and this pickle fork, but I tell you what a waste of time. So let's get back to it. Let's pop those out and let's get this ball joint out of here. Well, just came around here, turned the compressor off. You can see that's a tiny little compressor they have back there. Just knocked the lower ball joint off. And here is what we've got. Let's go back over to the bench, because I've got a tripod this time, so I can use both hands to show you the difference. Now, I would say this one is even in worse shape than the one we were using before. Here is our new part. Pull this out of here. Put it next to our old part. You tell me what you think. I like these nuts. They've got a little bit of, it's not vinyl, but it's a plastic, and what it does, it's a lock nut. Locks that down. Pull this off here. And there's the new and the old part. You tell me which one you want on your vehicle. So, biggest question is, what is the dysfunction on here? As a ball joint, this goes in and out. You can tell that the boot's pretty well rotted on here. From a swivel standpoint, it moves around quite a bit. You can see as everything falls out of there, that's the joint has deteriorated. If we really wanted to take a look here, we'd have to take the boot off Not so hard, maybe. Trying not to cut myself while you guys are watching. That would be the opposite of my goal here. Okay. All right, let's put this in. There we go. Gotten this one pulled apart, and you can see that the actual ball joint itself has degraded quite a bit, to the point where there's not a whole lot of that left. And you can see that some of the other, let's see if I can get this ring off of here, which I thought was going to be like a copper. Oh, that's metal. Got that off of there, and you can see that there's actually been at some point some type of impact, whether that's slamming around, banging into other pieces. That is not from the actual removal today, and you can see just how degraded that ball joint is. And it's normally supposed to be packed in there, I assume, with a little bit of grease and not move that much. Now if we go over to our other ball joint, I can't twist it or move it. It'll move, but really with the weight of the car. But that's, yep, that's packed in there enough. Boot is really healthy. You can see that's not going to bounce around. So I just thought it'd be an interesting look at what the previous ball joint actually looks like and what your current one looks like. And does this function? Is this gonna fall off as you're going down the road? No, I don't think it'll fail. But this is a lot of the knocking noise that I was hearing. I'd go over a bump and I'd hear ka-chunk, you know. And when this right now is just looking at me with both of my hands moving this around, imagine the shear stress of that control arm with the weight of the entire vehicle on one side. You know, obviously it's a fourth of the vehicle, but that's a lot of stress that's going in here. And what could happen is that I would say that this knuckle right here all the way around could shear, and then this could pop loose. Now, if that were to pop loose, on that side, you have this holding a control arm. You have your, up above that, you've got your axle that comes out and is turning the wheel, and then you've got your strut that goes up into the superstructure. So the only thing that would happen is that wheel would probably go from, you know, this angle to that angle, and would put a lot of stress on things that are not supposed to have stress. So anyway, thought it was interesting. Let's put it back together. Okay, so here we go. We got everything torn apart. At this point, I'm gonna put everything back together now. The biggest difficulty really is getting it to seat correctly once we're putting it back into the joint. So here we go. Put you back on the time lapse. Hope you enjoy this.
What have we done under the sun? To be free, be away, big breath that you can't fake.
So I definitely needed another set of hands through that entire process. That was a little bit of a struggle just because I had the wheel turned. And because I had the wheel turned, the interaction between the spring here, the shock, the strut, and this part here where I was trying to connect, kept getting in the way of the axle here, which was driving me crazy because it was frustrating. I couldn't just leave it, but we are all set. She's back on here. Next thing that we need to do is get a bolt threaded on there, and then get a tire back on here and go drive it and see how it sounds. Next step with these tires, you can see this one back here. I just need a new set of front tires. Get those rotated with the back ones. And the other thing that is going bad on this, I think, is a torque converter in the transmission. No, I will not be tearing out the transmission and trying to fix that myself. I would love love to do that. If I had a lift, I'd get the car up on a lift and be able to do some work that way, but being down here on the floor, just working on wheels and stuff like that. So, okay, let's keep moving.